Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about this week's NXT. WWE might be considering a change to one of the more popular gimmicks. AEW considered pushing MJF as a babyface. We're going to talk more about that. But first, we've got more about the Brawl Out, specifically CM Punk's assertions from his camp about what went down and what the Wrestling Observer himself, Dave Meltzer, has to say about that. Larson, he thinks there's some doubt on this particular story. What's going on here?
That's putting it mildly. So Wrestling Inc. released an account of Brawl Out from CM Punk's camp, his Brain Trust, last night. Around the time Dynamite started. And on today's Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer discussed these new details provided by Punk's camp, his Brain Trust.
The Brain Trust.
And these transcripts come to you from Cage Side Seats. What Dave had to say, quote, "The investigation is over. I think it's very clear by who's back and who's not back, what happened, what the investigation found out, and Punk, or someone in Punk's camp, told Nick Hausman a bunch of stuff. Everyone is still banned from talking publicly about what happened in the situation. The investigation is over. You can tell by who. Oh, that's the same thing up there. Also, kind of like what Punk said. He mentioned that the investigation never talked to Lucy Guy, that's Ace Steel's wife, which is true. They never did for whatever reason. And I don't have a reason, but they never did. I heard that and had written that and talked about that already. He mentioned that, which would tell you that he was not happy with the results of the investigation. And based on who's back and who is not back, that will tell you essentially what the investigation found. Because if what happened as he claimed, it would be the other way around. He would be the one back, and they, the elite, would be the ones not back. So I think that's a pretty clear thing as far as what the investigation found. I don't know what he is allowed to say publicly, but I do know that the other guys are not allowed to talk about it. So you're not going to get anything from them for maybe never, but certainly not anytime soon. The response to what was said was basically it's an outright lie, referring to, I think, specifically Larry the Dog.
The Dog, yeah. So there was a report that the Young Bucks super kicked the door down. Okay, they came barging in. And
well, I mean, that was the terminology, kicked in the door, not super kicked, but kicked in the door.
I know. I can just for the sake of some amount of benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
If they came in with a head full of steam, the door came flying, inwards. It hit the dog, and then the dog had a pre-scheduled vet appointment. It was revealed that the teeth were fucked up and needed to be removed.
Losing it to be removed. Yeah. So Dave continues his last bit. The response to what was said was basically it's an outright lie. I did have that told to me, but they could not, nobody could really say anything more as far as the dog thing goes. So on the Wrestling Observer message boards, Meltzer went there and provided some more information. He said this, quote, "Given those close to Punk have been regularly in contact with me. The Lucy Guy story was reported weeks ago. The door story they walked back on, and 7 weeks later, the dog story surfaces out of the blue. No way, and I mean no way, that's not the first thing they tell me." He continues, "The only side to contact me was Punk's side. The other side would not talk." Dave continued later. "Multiple eyewitnesses said the dog story was a total fabrication. If it was true, the end of the investigation would have been that Punk would be the one staying."
There is some common sense to that. Like if it went down like that, the door came swinging open, dog got fucked up. I could see how, then the one thing would lead to another, and chances are Punk would be the one who was coming back, and the Young Bucks were the ones who were the, aggressors. Mm-hmm. Like he says, even, here's the thing, even if, unless it was a completely unbiased or unaffiliated person, like the lawyer, Mega, who by some accounts, I guess, was there for the entire thing. Mm-hmm. But there's no way she's ever going to say word one about this. That's not going to happen. Because wrestlers will say, you get wrestlers in the right circumstance, they might say whatever. But I don't even think the Young Bucks, given that how much money is involved in this, I don't think this is the kind of thing that they're ever going to talk about either. So we're never going to find out what really happened because there's not videotape that's going to be released. You know, the old thing, there's 3 sides to every story. And so we're not going to find out what really happened. But if you want to put some common sense to it, yeah, if all this stuff happened that Punk's camp is saying, it doesn't seem like this would have gone down the way it went down.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if now at this juncture, I would not be surprised considering Punk is injured. This is just conjecture on my part. You know, he's going to be out for another 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah. There's no formal release saying that there's been a buyout.
Yeah.
There's no press release saying that they've cut ties. He just never comes back. At this juncture, that wouldn't really surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
I know, you know, in terms of transparency, in terms of seeing how the investigation unfolded, if they were to, you know, issue some sort of press release saying, you know, AEW and CM Punk have mutually agreed to part ways, blah, blah, blah. If they would have at least some basic accounting of what the investigation found, I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, in terms of putting to rest any sort of qualifiers you got to put on various people's account, if you can get, you know, as best you can, an unbiased account of what happened, that would be, I guess, kind of neat. But again, it's not a huge deal, but I don't expect it to happen regardless. So,
I mean, that's a good point because that's actually a good point because there was an actual investigation that went down. This stuff is in writing somewhere. Is it possible it somehow leaks at some point? Sure. You know, crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to sit around waiting for it. You would think that in the interest of some amount of transparency, there would be a simple one-line press release. AEW and Phil Brooks have, you know, decided to part ways. Yeah. Just so everybody knows there's some finality to this.
Exactly. 'Cause I guess, you know, if 8 months from now you hear nothing, people would be like, well, is Phil coming back? Is Punk coming back?
It would fuel rumors. Yeah, it would only generate rumors that they probably don't want. You know, it's like you don't want something that has a 0 chance of happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like you said, I wouldn't shock me if they just left it completely alone. And then they just let, you know, I mean, this is basically what he did on camera anyways. You know, after events from last post All Out, the title's been vacated. Well, the Elite's going to come back. People, CM Punk fans waiting around me, at least do them the service of, you know, releasing something that's available for them to see.
I know.
You know, we're sitting there with your CM Punk shirt on and
just watching Dynamite every week, hoping he'll come back.
There's I guarantee there's some 10-year-old out there who was like, I like that guy. When is he coming back? I don't know, kid. His dad. That's my impression of that kid's dad.
His dad's really grumpy.
Oh, dude, he's the grumpiest.
So we'll see. I mean, you know, it remains to be seen. Like Fightful had one account from the Elite's perspective, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Whereas Fightful and both Fightful and Meltzer have had accounts from Punk's perspective. And again, both Fightful and Meltzer, their sources walked back, literally kicking in the door. Now, if you use that in a large, you know, the broader context, barged in, shoved their way in, pushed the door open, something like that. Yeah, I understand that kicked in is kind of a phrase generally used for, you know, force an entry into a room. I get that. But it's interesting choice of wording in that in the statement to Nick Houseman when the specifics of someone literally kicking the door in has been walked back.
What's the point of let's say, you know, Meltzer saying this is coming out of nowhere. Multiple eyewitnesses say the dog story was a fabrication. What would be the point of that?
Of fabricating the dog story?
Yeah.
I guess to try to make, now say if the investigation is over, again, speculation. If the investigation is over, you know, if Punk is upset that they didn't talk to Ace Steel's wife, Lucy Guy, if he's this in his mind, this might be his kind of last opportunity to get his narrative out there. And if he wants to maybe kind of paint the Elite in a negative light, then all right, say it. And maybe it's a situation where, maybe something like that happened. That maybe not during the door getting busted in, but at some point during all this,
there might be some element, some seed of truth.
Larry got bumped
for
in the face.
Yeah.
They took him Phil took him to the vet, and the vet says, "Oh, he's got a couple loose teeth." And Phil's like, "Well, it probably happened during Brawl Out, of course."
Yeah.
And that message was relayed to somebody in his camp, and this is how it ended up in there. It could be a situation where this isn't necessarily a willful fabrication, if you will.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It was just a supposition made on a series of events. If you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
It could be a situation. I see what you're saying. It could be a situation where he sees which way the tides of perception are going. And it's like, man, everybody is turning on me. My dog got 2 teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't even say that. I didn't think I needed to because it seemed like it was obvious that this was all a big hit job on me. But yeah, my dog's teeth got knocked out. But they're not talking about that.
Yeah.
They got a new Thanos vignette instead.
Yeah.
That could be it. Yeah. Just some frustration in terms of like how this perception has turned so sharply against CM Punk.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it in our comments as well. People are like, oh, why is it Hangman doesn't get called an egomaniac? Somebody said that. Why doesn't Hangman get called an egomaniac? Like, well, he wasn't the one, like, I don't know. I personally don't see that. You and I fine-tooth combed the promos in the Punk Hangman situation, and neither of us saw anything that was out of pocket, that was weird.
Nothing out of line based on what other people have done in promos against Punk. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea, you're kind of not liked a lot in the locker room.
Yeah.
And that's a story that's followed you since, Ring of Honor days.
Yeah. Even the workers' right thing, which apparently was the line that upset Punk, didn't seem out of line based on what other people have said.
No.
And that's why nothing really stuck out. And that's why when Punk's response to all that was, wow, you're taking this awful personally.
Yeah.
It was like, well, why? There's no retort. There's no response other than kind of a sense of confusion and a bit of resentment.
Yeah.
That you feel like Paige has gone off script there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a really weird.
It was. It seemed like they were never on the same page. And why, even after that first, promo off, someone didn't sit them down and be like, all right, let's get this together. If nothing else, for the sake of the match.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And then Punk. Oh, but also, I thought that Hangman might shoot on me.
That
might give me a shoot buckshot lariat.
Yeah.
And then I try and I blow my knees out.
We don't know what conversations were had backstage prior to the match, laying out the match. Maybe at some point, and I doubt this, but again, at some point, Paige looked at Punk all menacing and said, "Oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you out there." I doubt that happened. Doesn't seem
right.
I don't know Hangman Adam Page at all.
Oh,
based on what we've seen of him and backstage stuff and interviews and stuff, it doesn't seem like the type of guy he is. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. He went up to Punk and he gave the same promo. I'm gonna destroy you.
I'm gonna embarrass you. Yeah. And granted, we don't know the conversations that were had backstage. Again, and
I'm going to destroy you.
And maybe this is us just giving Hangman a ton of benefit of the doubt. I don't know. Regardless, when I saw that, I'm like, really?
What?
I mean, Hangman doesn't seem. We don't know him though. Doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to go out there and fight somebody when it's supposed to be a professional wrestling bout.
Yeah, I ain't doing it. He's not doing that stuff, man. Let's talk about this. Let's stay in the realm of AEW. Let's talk about MJF, the hottest thing in wrestling right now. So on the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez talked about how some within AEW wanted to push MJF as a babyface. These transcripts come to you via WrestlingNews.co. This is what Alvarez said. Ever since he came back, the fans have wanted to cheer him. When he first came back, he was not supposed to be a babyface. He was supposed to be a heel. And they cheered and they cheered and they cheered. Then for several weeks, they started doing the deal where he would come out before the show and bury the crowd to try to make sure that he was booed during the show because they wanted him to be a heel. Well, now they're no longer doing that. Now they're just going with it at this moment. The question is, do you go all the way with it, or do you do whatever, and he ends up being a heel again? What I can tell you is there are people within AEW that strongly believe that they should go with him as a babyface right now. They feel that he could be a massive babyface star for AEW. They think that is what he should do now. There are people who believe he could be a generational babyface. That was not the intention when he came back, but things happen. So the question to me here, the most important thing here is, given that you and I were racking our brains over Punk Hangman when it was happening, right? We were doing backflips trying to Hangman. I loved when you used to say he's wilting as champion. It was like, okay, that could make sense. Yeah. When they did that, this is personal. Then I sort of stepped back and was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah.
There was in retrospect, now we know there seemingly was no actual plan devised between Hangman and Punk in terms of what that story is going to be. You and I look at this now with MJF being attacked by the Firm as the perfect setup for him to be a heel. Is it possible that they have no fucking plan for that to actually be the case? It seems like they're laying all these pieces, these puzzle pieces down that you can see. Regal joining them, the Firm joining them, any combination of that, any number of things. He specifically said, I'm not going to have this diamond, or I'm not going to use the diamond ring. You can't tell me that they don't have some sort of plan. There are others in AEW who want it one way or the other. Like there's got to be a plan here, right? They got to know what they're going to do by the time Full Gear comes around.
Yeah, I thought of this. The Rock's babyface turn before Survivor Series 98.
Sure, yeah.
It was all set up. You thought, next huge babyface in WWE. No, they turned him heel that night.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well for him.
Worked great, yeah.
Sometimes when you do something like that, you tease the face turn, you turn him heel again if it's well done and effective. Because here's the thing. MJF is so good. Regardless if he's a heel still, people are going to cheer him. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because what's going to happen is if he doubles down on the heel business at Full Gear to win, he might get some immediate heat. But people are going to realize, oh, wow, what he does on a regular basis is awesome stuff. He comes out and he drops some of the best promos in the entire business. He's a hell of an in-ring competitor. People who are going to appreciate his great work, and they're going to cheer for that. And we've always said that's the formula. You have a really good heel. They do really good work. People get behind the good work and start cheering for them, and that's the organic babyface turn. Now, if this is a story they want to tell, and it makes sense considering how dominantly they've booked Mox, where MJF still has to cheat, and somewhere down the line is when he finally has to, make the decision, I will not cheat to win this time. Because I feel like if he does it here again, because all the pieces are there, I'd actually be kind of surprised and somewhat disappointed if he won this clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
because from a storytelling standpoint, I'm like, why? This makes sense. It's all there. Yeah. He's got to win by heel tactics. He has a reign, and maybe his hold on the belt is kind of tenuous because he constantly has to cheat. He eventually loses it, and then after he loses it, then you can do the babyface turn, and then you can do the his rise up the. I know they don't really do the rankings anymore, but as a babyface, and then he wins it again, without having to cheat.
I mean, they could. I guess my thing is they need to figure out what they're going to do solidly, instead of setting a bunch of stuff up and then just assuming it's going to play out. Maybe because Chris Jericho out and out said, I think to MJF said this, that Chris Jericho's like, you're going to have to be a face because they're going to cheer you. And maybe there's an element of having your cake and eat it too. I mean, I remember when Rock went heel, it was very, very effective. But at the same time, it's like, man, we all love The Rock. Yeah. It's like, as a bad guy, fuck yeah. As a good guy, absolutely. We just loved him. So if you just try to have MJF be MJF and be, I guess, what would be considered a tweener, where he sort of, has a relationship with the crowd where he feels free to run them down, to talk some shit, but at the same time, and he'll still cheat to win, but at the same time acknowledging that, yeah, people love me. They're devil worshippers. There's nothing I could do about that.
Pretty much what they're doing now.
What they're doing now, exactly. But at the same time, but here's the thing: you got to tell your stories. You like kind of just taking the scenic route of saying what you just said. You got to tell your stories, and if that story involves, hey, he's got to cheat to win, he's got to fuck up Mox and cheat and use the firm, and you're gonna have Regal turn, let it happen. Like, just do your stories, what you think is most compelling. But by God, learn your lessons from the past. Have something set in place.
Exactly. I got a quote here from Meltzer, I think also on Wrestling Observer Radio. Yeah. About MJF. That's what Meltzer had to say. Again, from WrestlingNews.co. People are dying for a super over babyface. That's what the business is really missing. That babyface that gets that kind of reaction. And if you've got one, then don't turn him heel. I know he doesn't want to be a babyface. I know he wants to be a heel. Meltzer continued, again, the time to turn him heel is the time to turn him heel, not when you want to do it. Not like Ric Flair, who would turn babyface, get super over, draw ratings, and Ric Flair would go and would sit there and go, I don't want to be babyface, turn me heel. It was a mistake so many times.
You got to just tell your stories and let it fall where it goes. I mean, that's what you got to do. And if you turn him heel, look, MJF is doing the career work right now. It's going to be remembered for decades. In 20 years, when somebody else brings him, somebody steals him from AEW or WWE or whatever, they're going to be like, oh, remember back in 2022 when he was so good? That's where we're at now.
Yep.
And so, I don't know, man. It's funny. I'd hate, for many reasons, I'd hate to be in the position of Tony Khan. But like, these are pretty big decisions that, the future of your company are going to depend on it.
I know.
Or at least I think business wise, they're fine. But like, if you want to really make an impact, you got to make these decisions. But I don't know. You can't worry about all that stuff. You just got to tell your stories.
Exactly. And like MJF is probably definitely one of the few people on the AEW roster right now that, if booked right, the next 6, 8, 12 months, mainstream crossover star.
Totally. Yeah.
But if you don't handle the creative right, you could really drop the ball on that.
Yeah. You can't force him into being, clean winning babyface. I don't know. Just have the dude be the dude, And but don't shy away from having him hatch schemes because you're the bigger heel you are, the bigger babyface you're gonna be.
Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, RexMD. Guys, listen, I get it. I understand. You don't like going to the doctor. I understand it can be a pain to have to shuffle your entire schedule around just to make your appointment, and then you go into the office, and then things can maybe turn a little awkward when you got to talk to the doctor about certain issues.
Oh, yeah.
Down there.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, he's pointing down to his crotch area. Yeah.
Down there, yeah.
Now, you got a problem getting bricked up. We get it, man. But here's something to keep in mind. Most men's health issues have a simple solution, and RexMD is all about simple solutions. You see, RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver directly to your door. No office visits, no talking to a receptionist. It's super simple.
It is super simple. All you got to do is fill out a quick medical questionnaire online, and a doctor will review your situation and prescribe you generic Viagra if appropriate. And you know what, Steve? I had no idea that Viagra can cost around $90 a pill.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But with RexMD, you can get generic Viagra for as low as $2 a pill.
Nice. Thanks to RexMD, over 300,000 guys have gotten generic Viagra quickly and conveniently. RexMD is fast, simple, and cheap, and you can access your U.S. licensed RexMD physician anytime you need to afterwards.
RexMD just works, and it works the very first night. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our viewers, but you've got to go to RexMD.com/raw to get started. That's RexMD, RexMD.com/raw.
Yeah, let's talk about another guy who WWE would love to be an MJF type, but he's not quite there and has a way to go. Austin Theory has had 2 failed cash-in attempts on Roman Reigns, and just last week teased a cash-in on Braun Breaker. That didn't happen, but it seems like WWE is in no hurry to have Theory successfully cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And according to WrestleVotes, It might be due to WWE considering a different cash-in scenario for Mr. A-Town Down. WrestleVotes told Give Me Sport that, quote, there is an idea that he is the first guy to wait a full year, like the day of or the night of Money in the Bank next year. That's the storyline. Like you have to cash this in 2.5 hours. You have to cash it in 90 minutes. That type of thing. I know that idea is on the table. That
would be interesting.
That'd be very interesting because like the heat would be on, you know? And again, it's a situation where if that's the story on the table, you better damn well sure you know what's going to happen 3 months in advance so that you can play that out, that the pressure is on. He tries to cash in, keeps on getting foiled, and he's like, God damn, I got 2 weeks left, you know, like a kid writing a research paper in college.
Yeah. And it'll be, you know, assuming that Roman retains after WrestleMania, whether he faces The Rock or not. I mean, he faces The Rock, he's going to win. But assuming Roman's holding those belts, both those belts, through Money in the Bank next year, there's like no guarantee that Roman's going to have a title match on that card.
Yeah, right,
sitting here now, you know, obviously, if this is the story they're going to want to have play out, then the odds of Roman having a match on that card, you think, would go up. Yeah, I mean, it's something different. It's something we haven't seen before with Money in the Bank, and if it's executed well, it could be interesting.
You know, they need to really focus on just getting him to a point where people care about him. And I feel like that's one thing that I really had expected a bit more of. It's been a couple months now, and you know, I'll put it this way. Under Vince, he was on a real downward trajectory. They seem to have leveled that off at least so that people aren't like, oh my God, this guy. And that's where he was going with Vince. They need to start building him up now. But yeah, I would, the chatter is so strong about WWE wanting to split the titles and have them brand specific that I'd be kind of shocked that if by the time Money in the Bank came around, we wouldn't have 2 world titles.
Yeah.
And so you could do that kind of thing. And yeah, it just, you know, it's like if you get him to that point by whenever it is, was it June or May or whatever?
Yeah.
If you get
it was 1st of July this past year.
Okay. If you get him to that point by then, make that a big deal. People might be into that, you know. If a person who's under a desperate situation, that they might buy into his story at that point. And they might want to see him succeed if for no other reason. It's like, man, you've had all this time. And it's watching somebody fail over and over again, regardless of how you feel about that person, it sort of gets you, okay, well, I kind of want to see this guy succeed now because he just fails all the time. But you do need to try your damnedest to put together a compelling character.
Exactly. We had NXT on Tuesday. Fallout from Halloween Havoc. Thought the show was overall pretty solid because they focused on wrestling.
I have such a love-hate relationship with NXT. Some weeks I'm like, fuck this. And some weeks I'm like, oh, this is pretty decent. And this week I was like, oh, this is pretty decent. And I have no idea why it is. I really don't. Like, you know, I maybe this week we had Ilya versus JD Don't Google My Name. And you put those guys in the ring together, you're going to fucking good match. Yeah. So we got a fucking good match out of them. We got a fucking good match out of the women's tag match. We had a really good match out of the men's tag match.
Yep.
Well, I thought that the Ava Raine reveal was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, man. I thought that's awesome for her.
That feels like they're kind of changing direction a little bit with Schism, even though they kind of seemed aimless for a long time. Because I felt like the packaging they had with the neutrons and stuff. Same thing, but the neutrons, you know, they got the 4 roots, 1 tree type deal.
I dug that. I thought it was cool. Yeah. But like you said, the thing that matters is direction, you know? Exactly. So like they need as you like to say, manifesto. Yes. They need to declare, what are you after? What are your intentions? And how are you going to go about doing it?
Exactly.
Let's see that play out as opposed to just togetherness is this and this and yeah.
Take the mask off and reveal your true self.
Yeah. Yeah, but the branding's great.
It's really good. And not just a manifesto, but how specifically that's going to be implemented in the world of NXT.
I just need to see it start to play out. You know, like I don't even need them to declare. I just need to see And with the promos need to be specific, enough of this, because they just talked and talked and talked. And it was like, okay, get to the damn point. I like the idea that she has got probably more expectations based off of who her dad is than anybody in the history of WWE. I mean, honestly, The Rock is like the biggest thing ever to come out of WWE. And this is his kid. Those expectations are like Jordan's kids were, or LeBron's going to have with his kid. These are massive expectations. And I love the idea that she's trying to buck that trend and say, I can't be defined by that. This is my family. I like that. I think that's perfect for her specifically.
Yeah, I think so too. Probably the only person at WWE who's maybe faced. Well, it's probably Charlotte. The expectations of Ric Flair as her father, they were probably pretty high.
Yeah. Rock's a bigger deal.
I mean, in terms
Charlotte killed it out the gate, though. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but in terms of like mainstream, yes, The Rock is. But in the world of wrestling, I mean, how do you get much more prominent Ric Flair?
Yeah, that's true. The different circumstances, though, I think. Also,
absolutely.
Charlotte, like NXT was a different thing than it is now. And nowadays,
was.
Like the spotlight is so much bigger. I couldn't imagine what being Ava Raine or Simone Johnson would be like these days.
Yeah. But let's talk about this main event angle. So Ilya and JD had a match, their third, I believe, one-on-one bout. They actually had JD win. They're really selling that Ilya's ribs were wrecked.
Oh, that's
from that one spear from Braun. And JD destroyed them. Yeah. And JD won via ref stoppage. And they had Ilya taken out on a stretcher.
Yeah, it was a great visual. He was bloody all around the nose and mouth area.
Yeah, they changed the camera angle for when they had the stretcher come out. It was like a longer shot.
Yeah.
That didn't feel, typically what you get from the visual language of pro wrestling. It felt more like a sports type thing.
It looked like they were cutting away so as to not, make us see the gruesome aspect of it. And you're right, it was effective. Yeah, I don't know. Seemingly they're going to write Ilya off for a little while. Yeah.
I mean, we saw what Ilya can do after a would-be demoralizing defeat against Walter. Came back stronger and more powerful and more driven than before. Will that be the case here?
Will that be the thing that gets that title off of Braun Breaker? Yeah.
Could be, but 2 losses in a row for Ilya, which is something we never saw in NXT UK.
Yeah, they brought me here and made me look like an asshole. Yeah, it's good for JD, but I feel like JD, I just don't know what the fuck, where is he going to go? You know what I mean? Like, he had his opportunity against Braun Breaker. He had another one with a triple threat. I don't know. Did he have 2 against Braun Breaker?
I think he just had the one.
Did he just have the one?
I think so.
He had the one where he was smiling. Okay, maybe they're just setting up the other one and Ilya showed up. So that'll be interesting to see where they go with Ilya. Hopefully, it's the same. I think it's Shawn Michaels was in charge of his stuff in UK also. So hopefully he sees him as like, okay, we're
foundational piece of NXT. Yes,
I hope so. Yeah,
or writing him off, going right to main. You are Ilya.
I'm on SmackDown now, Friday nights.
They're just going to do a year after Imperium and Brawling Brutes are done feuding. They're going to do a year long story with Ilya and Gunther.
Yeah, you remind me of a guy I used to know named Walter. It's me.
He chops on the back first. It's me.
Oh, I remember you now. Yeah. Oh, it is you. My God. Yeah, that was fine. Let's see here. What else happened? We had 2 tag team matches.
They're both really, really good.
They were both really, really good. One, we had an actual dusty finish, where the good guys won, and then it was reversed after the fact because of a tag situation.
Yes, the legal competitor did not take the first pinfall.
No. Right. Yeah, and then they end up losing the rest of it. I liked this. Let's talk about who this could be, and it could be somebody we have no idea who they are because they're still
Scripps thing.
Scripps. I really liked the idea of a fucking phone call. I thought that was. I thought
a prank caller was a good idea.
I thought the visual. Yes, yeah. It's me, Scripps. Is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. Click. No, I thought visually it was a bunch of vomit on the screen, but I thought that it was kind of sinister. I was like, oh, this is cool. And yeah, I kind of like it.
I mean, again, it's another situation where it's all this general ominous sounding stuff that could have come from the mouth of Joe Gacy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I've been like, all right, that fits in totally with what Schism says from time to time. And so, again, if it gets beyond general, vaguely ominous stuff to something more specific and interesting, then yes, count me in. But the someone talking through the mics they had at the All Out Media Scrum into the phone unto itself, I'm like, all right, well, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, no, I like that. Let's just
sound like, I know they had a Dijak promo, but a person whose voice has been through a bunch of filters kind of sounds like Dijak with a little bit of filtering.
No, I know, I agree. It sounded, because they already had it. They had another Dijak thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Now I'm going to make a call to the Performance Center.
I called Performance Center. I meant to call Arby's.
Do you have secret menu items there?
Can I get a meat mountain, please?
Let me get a meat mountain, please. That's real justice. It kicked off with the women's tag match. Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons, Team Cronus versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. And yeah, like we said, this had a dusty finish going here. So it was number one. It was a really terrific match.
It was really good.
Everybody busted their asses. This was really, really good stuff. Everybody's got good chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened was Katana was looking for a pump kick. Zoe evaded that, and rolled up Katana Chance for the win. But Carter was actually the legal competitor. There was a tag there that the Team Cronus didn't realize, and the ref didn't see. And then another ref comes to the ring, says, "Hey, Chance wasn't legal." And then the head ref was like, "Oh, okay, let's do this again." So they restarted the match. And in that situation, Carter ended up hitting Lyons with a flurry of kicks, tags in Chance, and then they hit their tag finish to get the win. So yeah, it was one and then taken right back away from them.
Yep. Imagine we'll get another match between these two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got a couple video packages. One hyping up JD versus Ilya in the main event, and then we got another one of these Dijak video packages where the T-bar mask is in the fire. And this time, this one had voiceover. Said the second coming isn't about retribution; it's about justice.
I wish he would have said the second coming isn't about retribution. It's about fashion. And then he joins the Maxim male models. That's what I want to see.
I thought you were going to say the second coming isn't about retribution. It's about horsey sauce.
I mean, I'm trying to keep it realistic here. But that would have been amazing. Yeah, it's not about retribution. It's about Wawa.
Wawa sandwiches. Then we had, I thought this was awesome, a Wesley promo.
Oh, this was great. Yeah.
Genuine, relatable.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Doesn't seem like he's a character. He seems like he's himself.
Just seems like him.
Yeah. So he comes to the ring, says, it was great up until Grayson Waller showed up. So he says, I wanted to come out and thank the fans. He said, I never did think I'd make it to WWE, let alone be a champ, and for damn sure not be one on my own. But the faith and confidence that everyone in NXT motivated and inspired me. Winning the North American title gave me a sense of validation I'd been searching for my entire life, that I belong, that there is a place for me, that I am loved for who I am and what I stand for, and for that I'm forever grateful. He says, when I was standing on top of the ladder and the crowd was chanting, you deserve it, that was a feeling that was indescribable to me, and all I can say is thank you. But look, in all honesty, he says, we don't deserve the love you all share with us all the time. It's special. So I go along with that. I want to make sure I exceed any expectations. Before he can even finish saying the word expectations, interrupted by Grayson Waller.
So he comes out, Grayson Waller. He says, you don't deserve a thing. He said, I'm glad you had a good Saturday because I didn't. I hate Halloween. It's a stupid made-up holiday. And Lee says,
I kind of felt that a little bit.
Oh, man, I love Halloween, man. Everybody dresses up and like grumpy. So Lee says,
like I said, I'm spending more time and effort on my costume for a 1-hour show on Monday than I have in years.
I've got nothing right now, man. I got to go to Spirit after this. So Lee says, you can't come out here and rain on my parade because you lost your bitch. And then Waller says, technically, I won. And he says, what did you do? You climbed a ladder. And he says, I did that at Home Depot the other day. Nobody gave me nothing. He says, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still up 1-0 on Apollo Crews. Because his point was he put him in the coffin, in the casket. He should have won that thing. And I agree. So anyways, he's interrupted by R-Truth. He welcomes the crowd to Halloween Havoc. He's dressed up in a costume. And he says, if you're ready.
Joker costume, isn't it?
Yeah, Joker costume. He says, if you're ready for the spookiest night of the year. And Waller's like, what are you doing? And he's like, that's cool. He's like, oh, you coming at me with that British accent, man. Are you excited about Halloween Havoc, mate? And he says, I'm Australian. He says, no, I'm not excited about Halloween Havoc. And he's like, why? He's like, Truth, it was 3 days ago. It already happened. He says, oh, my bad. And so Truth says, oh, you're trying to okey doke me. And Lee says, no, man, it already happened. He says, and I won the North American title. And he says, oh, congratulations. You deserve it. He was like, how did you do? And, Waller's like, oh. And Lee says, Waller lost to Apollo Crews in a casket match. And he says, well, I ain't mad because Apollo's nice. He says, are there spiders in there? He's like, I know, it's dark inside. I would have been scared. And Waller says, I wasn't scared. He says, all that Crews did was roll me into a casket. And Truth says, oh, you rolled one up out here? Oh, man, I'm coming back. And Waller says, I'd love nothing more to beat you in my own house, or in your own house. He said, my mind's not in it, so I'll give you a week, and then you'll learn about the Grayson Waller effect. And Waller takes a swing at Truth. Truth ducks, throws him out of the ring. Truth grabs the mic, says, I'll see you next week. So, That match is happening next week.
Yep. Then we get Idris Enofe and Malik Blade backstage. Malik says, I'm nervous. We have a chance to become tag champs tonight. And Idris says, yeah, I'm nervous too, but tonight it's our night. If you had one shot, one opportunity to achieve everything you ever wanted, would you capture it or let it slip away? And Malik's like, are you quoting Eminem right now? And Enofe says, I'm trying to fire you up. And then Blade does get fired up and said, yes, this is the Idris I want. Let's go and win those titles and shock them.
So you should have brought Matt Hardy in to do some Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And then they just would have been like, get out of here. After that, we had a Quincy Elliott promo. And Quincy introduces Shotzi. She comes out on her tank. Apollo Crews has an interview before we get the Shotzi Lash Legend match. And he says, Waller's in my rearview mirror. He says, he's our Truth's problem. He says, Waller's really annoying, but I'll give credit where credit's due. He's a talented guy, but I knew the moment I shut him in that casket, I can move on to my original focus when I came to NXT, the NXT title. The vision is clear. My eyes and ears are going to be locked into what happens next week when Braun Breaker, returns. I'll be very interested to see what he has to say. So Braun's going to say, he's going to come out. He's going to say a bunch of very generic babyface stuff. Oh, respect my opponents. They almost had me, but I'm still champion. Crews is going to come out, interrupt him. They're going to have a match.
JD's going to come out and interrupt them. So Crews will have to feud with JD before he get a match with Braun.
Oh, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. Then we had Shotzi versus Lash Legend. Shotzi won this with a leg capture DDT. They call it, she calls it.
I don't remember.
She calls it.
I made a point of saying the name Victor.
I know. Yeah. It was like, you're out of here or something like that.
Sure. That works.
She hit her with the you're out of here.
You're out of here. So then we were supposed to have Brutus Creed versus Damon Kemp with a match with a 5-minute time limit.
Yeah, man.
So before that, we got a Creed Brothers promo. Julia says, I'm sorry you'll have to bear with me. My hands are all swollen and jacked up. What happened Saturday? They were all bruised up and swollen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were.
Apparently there wasn't much of anything in that door.
Ooh.
You get bashing him in the hands.
Yeah. Oh.
And even Sunday, he says, getting up, moving around was hard, and I was in a lot of pain, but it's nothing compared to what I would have felt if I was responsible for costing my brother his career. So he says, Damon Kemp, you learned that short-term decisions have long-term consequences. I come as advertised, and I wrote the last sentence, but it's time for Brutus to put on the final punctuation. Brutus thanks Julius, says, I love you, brother.
I love you, man.
But now it's my turn. Kemp, you promised me 5 minutes. And I'm going to finish what you started. So Damon Kemp shows up on the Tron and says, Julius, you got lucky. On Saturday, Brutus, I'm not medically cleared, but don't worry. You're going to get your 5 minutes. Your 5 minutes of hell is still waiting for you. And Brutus tells Damon that every day that you make me wait, your ass whooping will get worse and worse. And then Veer and Sangha attack the Creeds.
Yeah, viciously too, man.
Well, there's this great moment where Sangha grabs Julius for a chokeslam, but he's not invested.
Not
at
in
the moment.
it.
He hesitates.
He hesitates.
And Veer yells at him to do it. He doesn't. So Veer comes over and blasts Julius. And then Sangha does end up chokeslamming Brutus.
Yeah.
And so they walk up the ramp, and then Ivy Nile walks past them. And then she looks at Sangha and asks why.
Yeah.
And then she heads to the ring to check on the Creed. So
because they're there to fuck people up, man.
I know, but I like that Chill Sangha's still inside Sangha there.
I know. He's chill at heart. And Veer's like, nah, bro. We need to wreck fools here. Oh no, I like this. I was marking out when I saw them. Another reason I was into NXT. Pretty Deadly backstage, titties out. They got the top shirt, and what the fucking blonde haired guy has the hairy titties going.
Oh, the Elton Prince.
Yeah, man. He lets the chest hair grow.
He does.
Extra disconcerting. They say, tonight's going to be a tough one. Yes, boy. We're fast and confident. We're the two most athletic guys on the roster.
They're saying there because it's like they're
hyping up.
Thinks,
yeah.
They're talking about Malik and Idris.
But really, it's just, they're talking about that.
Talking about themselves.
And Wilson said, now we should talk about Idris and Malik now. And Prince says, not a chance, just like Bladen and No Face chances tonight. And then we get this really silly Toxic Attraction FaceTime video package.
Yeah.
Where like JC is working out. Gigi's by the beach. Mandy's
she's by the pool.
I'm sorry, the pool, yeah. And then Mandy's in her car. And they're just talking. They just recount what happened. Mm-hmm. And like it's so awkwardly put together. It's not like our little phone conversation skits.
No, which are just, brilliance in filmmaking.
Right, exactly.
Well, part of it too is that like they had the overlay with all their FaceTime conversations.
This is where the filmmakers are going to come out of us, yeah.
And then they cut to a standard camera. Like there's this one line where they say, where JC's at the gym, they say, "Oh, you're so buff" or something, and they go to not her flexing into her phone camera, but they cut to a camera of her holding her phone and then flexing.
Yeah,
I'm like.
Yeah.
Mandy and Gigi each have one of those too, but it felt clunky.
They were switching too much between the FaceTime feed and then like the camera feed or the camera shot of it. It was clunky, but whatever. They've got good, and they're going to do a 1-year anniversary thing next.
That was the point of the
celebration.
Whole thing,
yeah. After that, we had Bladen and Nofe versus Pretty Deadly. Again, they gave this match a lot of time, and it was stellar.
It was really good.
Both teams are really, really good. In the end, though, Pretty Deadly hit Blade with spilled milk to get the win. After that, we had a JD McDonough promo. He says, I nearly didn't get out of bed on Sunday morning because I wasn't the NXT champion, but neither was Ilya. And I was like, man, I feel you. Because I wasn't Big Red Champion, but neither was Larson. Enforcers are Braun Breaker, buddy. He says, so it's not all bad news. Ilya describes me as a cancer, but he's the one recurring for me. He says, I get called a lot of things, but there's one nickname I've gotten that actually I kind of like, Necessary Evil.
But then they dropped the pitch of it and put the red light on him.
Yeah, Necessary Evil. He says, there's a devil inside me that I can access that others shy away from. Ilya is not going to leave the building on your own strength. Damaged beyond repair, you're going to wish you never heard the name JD. Don't McGoogle my name, and wish you never came to NXT.
Yep. Then we're backstage. We get a Zoe and Nikita interview.
Team Cronus.
Zoe says, I've had it. I had the tag titles in my hands, and it was just taken away. She says Kaden and Katana are the two luckiest women in WWE right now. And Nikita walks in and apologizes for taking the loss. And Zoe says, not your fault. How did the ref not see that tag? We got a rematch. When we get that rematch, we're taking that gold.
Yeah, it's ours, Team Cronus. After that, we had a Schism promo. A lot of talking here. And none of it really meant much of anything. But the branding is really cool. And Gacy has a snazzy denim jacket now.
Yeah.
And Drake has regrown his beard out, so he doesn't look weird. So then the woman in the red hoodie mask takes off the mask. And it's Ava Raine. The crowd's popping for her because she's been doing the house show circuit and stuff. Everybody knows who she is. And she says, the love and acceptance the Schism has given me defies any preconceived notions of who I'm supposed to be. This family completes me. I am Ava Raine. And they all hug. And Gacy says, this collective of hearts beats in harmony. And they're all mouthing what he's saying as he says it. And they say, 4 roots, 1 tree. So I think that's cool stuff. They just need to really
now give
focus.
It real direction.
Focus.
Then we got a Sol Ruka interview. She says she's nervous about her match tonight, but really excited. The same feeling I get when I'm about to drop in a big wave or I'm flying through the air about to stick my vault landing. And she says Indy is a badass competitor, and that's when Indy steps in. And she says, a bit of advice for you. Doing tricks to wow the audience is cool, but it's only going to take you so far here in NXT. It's all about winning, and you're about to find that out right now.
Man, so like that feeling she talks about. Nervous but really excited, like she's about to drop in on a big wave. When do you get that feeling, Larson?
When I'm really feeling good about my chances of basketball for the week.
Okay. All right. That's good. I'm like,
when I wake up and I feel good, my back, my neck don't hurt.
Yeah.
I go out there, my jumper feels pretty good.
Whoop-ha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Like for me, it's like, if I've had a lot of fiber the day before.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. You get up in the morning, you get a little cup of coffee in you.
Yeah, and you just empty it out.
Yeah.
After that, we had this Scripps prank call, which I really loved. Larson mocked. It was like, hey, it's WWE Performance Center. Leave a message and we'll get back to you. Hey, listen to me. Fuck you. Click.
I know. NXT is garbage. Click. They just hear that. Delete. In the morning they get in. Delete.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You're nothing but developmental crap. It's like
Delete.
Dark and Elevation.
They just start deleting all the voicemails, and he shows up. Why has nobody responded to my messages? I've left 270 voicemails, not a single callback.
I want to try out. Been working really hard on my trampoline in the backyard.
But all you do is talk garbage about NXT. I'm going to make it better.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it to new heights. I'm Hey, what's up? I'm Scripps. Look at my fly fit. After that, we had Indy Hartwell, who for fucking some reason is still in NXT.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Get her to main roster like yesterday. What the hell?
But then she dominated this match.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. But then Elektra Lopez redominated the match because so Indy hit a forearm to the back of Sol Ruca to get the win, but Elektra Lopez gets in the ring. She posts Indy, hits Sol with a Blue Thunder bomb, and then she just starts jawing to the camera. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, and they got me kicking me out of Legato. So here I am. She should start working for Tony D. She was the only one.
He's going to be out. He's not going to be wrestling for a while. He's got the PCL injury. I know he's been on TV on occasion, but I don't know how often he's going to be on.
Yeah, but she could be his instrument of destruction. Like Stax lost to Shinsuke. You got Elektra. She's doing good work at the docks.
What Tony should do is like, hey, I got to step away.
You're the new Dawn. Yeah,
you're
exactly.
running things now, Elektra.
Is there a necessary female way of saying Dawn, or is the Dawn gender inclusive?
Don't know the answer to that.
Interesting. Okay,
I know the answer. Then we got a Chase U video package. So the class.
This is great.
Before class starts properly, is just chatting. Chase comes in, says, "Everybody take your seats," and he's like, "Where's Bodie?" Because Bodie's seat's empty. And then that's when Duke steps in and says, "Yeah, I couldn't find Bodie." And Chase says, "Well, that's disappointing." Because he was like, he had a huge report that was due today. I told him to work on his preparation. And Duke says, "All right, got you an apple." And then he goes and takes Bodie's seat.
Yeah.
And Thea at first is like, no, don't do that. So anyways, so Chase says next month is November. He talks about what happened wrestling-wise during the month. He says, I suggest you all take great notes. And the Duke has a pen, but Thea doesn't. So Duke hands Thea his pen. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? He just points to his head.
Yeah, memorize it all.
Memorize it all.
Yeah, Chase fucking goes off. He's like, what, you think my fucking words aren't good enough for writing down? And then Duke says, no, my bad, my mistake, won't happen again. And then Chase continues upon his lecture, and Duke looks over, and he very slyly steals the pen off the desk of the girl next to him, not Thea Hale, another girl. And then, and so he starts writing, and then she looks down, and she's like, where's my pen?
Where's my pen?
And I'm like, you need to work on your peripheral vision here.
Next, we got a Roxanne Perez video package. She says, I didn't like who I became at Halloween Havoc. Says, but losing a best friend, I found a new level of belief in myself. Friends may come and go, but I have to stay true to who I am and why I'm in NXT.
Yeah. Well, she became a person who hesitated on pushing somebody off of a platform, and then she became the person who got pushed off the platform. So
yeah,
maybe that's what she means. After that, Blade and No Fair leaving the PC. They're wondering if this was their last chance at the tag titles. Odyssey Jones pulls up in a truck. There's like five honeys in this truck. He says, forget about the match. Get in the truck. We're going to go fuck. And No Face like, sorry, Blade. I'm going to go. I'm bricked up. I'm going to go get in. Yeah. So he goes and he's like, Blade, come on, get bricked up, come on in this truck and let's fuck a lot. And then Blade's like, yeah, I don't know about all that. And then one of the girls just reaches out of the window and pulls him in through the window. And then they all go and they all fuck. It's great.
Then we got our main event, Ilya versus JD. JD was really targeted Ilya's ribs, probably because they were really taped up.
Yeah, super taped up. So it was a target.
So knew where to target.
Yeah.
So the finish of this saw JD go to the top rope. Ilya chops him. They trade some blows. Ilya hits the superplex, follows with that huge forearm. But he's like, my ribs.
Oh, my ribs.
He sets up for the torpedo, collapses. My ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Gets back up. Again, looks for torpedo. JD catches him with like a body scissors submission deal where he's stretching his head one way and his leg the other way. And during this, Ilya starts bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah.
And then he passes out. So JD wins. And then bell rings and the ref has to like force JD to break the hold. And that's when they take Ilya out in the stretcher.
He's like, I've got jet lag still so bad. This jet lag is the worst. And my ribs.
He just fell asleep there.
He just fell asleep. He was like, I'm on a terrible sleep schedule. 2:00 in the morning, I'm up. 5:00 at night, not so much. Parker Hamlet has a question. We got a question thread here. Says, if Larry was hurt and Punk's camp is telling the truth. Wait, the fuck?
We answered that in the other on our bonus show.
He must have put it on both. Blake Whitehouse has a different question, but still about Larry the dog. Given what happened with Cody's dog, the fireworks situation, and now Pharaoh, and now with CM Punk's dog, with the exception of service animals, should AEW not allow people to bring their pets to shows?
I don't know.
I mean, it just seems. I don't think that it doesn't seem like it's a fucking zoo there. I don't think everybody's bringing their animals.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way.
I brought my cat. And he scurries off. Somebody go find my cat. I don't think that.
Look, I brought my bird. It's just flying around, crapping on everybody.
Yeah, I brought a bat. Eddie Kingston's got rabies now.
There you go.
Is it just Eddie? I don't know. I don't fucking know. That's a YP, not an MP.
Yeah. Alex Foster. What other moments in wrestling or life could have been improved if R-Truth showed up?
Oh, could you imagine if Truth in his current iteration showed up at the end of the Montreal Screwjob?
Oh wow,
that'd have been amazing.
That'd have been something else.
Yeah, that'd been great. That fucking I don't know.
Virtually, just about
anything,
any moment.
Yeah. The Hogan, Jeff Jarrett, Vince Russo situation.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Brendan Monroe says, as Ilya is the wrestler that is known for the slog and fight till you die matches. Oh, he's so good at those. Power rank opponents you'd love to see him in this type of match with. All the great ones, man. Give me fucking Okada. Like Okada versus
Imagine him in the ring with Roman.
Oh my God. Oh God, that'd be good. That'd be awesome. I will not acknowledge you. Yeah, that'd be good. Mayor Planet Houston, with Ava Raine being The Rock's daughter and being part of the bloodline, is being a part of already moist schism too. Oh, yeah! The schism's so moist! That's what he's going to say next week when he comes out. Let's see here. I know she wants to do her own thing, but how big of a singles push would have been better? I think that this is great because the singles run is just the Rocky Maivia, blue chipper, third generation. Wow. That shit. And then everybody's just trying to live up to those expectations. You put her in a weird fucking cult like this where she references there are expectations on me because of who my dad is. No, this is my family. And then you remove all that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Smash donuts tonight at twitch.tv/Stephen Larson, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow we'll be back live on the Twitch at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern for our regular news show. Last one for the week.
Correct.
And our Impact review. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.